Oh, hello there. Excuse me. I was just quickly reading up some information on this episode. Welcome back to yet another Nerd Talk. I've decided to slow down a little bit here because we have a lot to cover today. Now then, we are going over anime. Yes, I know, anime, because that doesn't get talked about nearly enough on YouTube. Yay. Hey, yes, the classic edgy cat girl and other parts of anime usually get covered a whole lot. Now then, today we are covering... Yep, we're covering this guy's ability. I have to make it clear that we're covering the ability and not the character. Because I want to make this very, very clear. We're not covering this psychotic child right here. I refuse to, we're not doing that. We're covering specifically his ability, all fiction. Need to make this very clear. Not him, the power. Because today, we're not talking about what's seen in the show. Oh no. We're talking about what you, the person who's watching this, if you suddenly got all fiction, what the limits would be on that. Because there's also another reason that I'm just a little scared of him, and you probably should be too. For obvious reasons. Now then, what exactly is all fiction? Well, simply put, all fiction is all fiction. All fiction is just that. It is an ability that lets you do effectively anything. Not a lot of people really realize this, but all fiction is incredibly powerful. It doesn't really have any other ability besides just making whatever you want to happen. It makes reality basically like Play-Doh. Now then, I say that we're only covering all fiction, so you're probably curious, why did I bring up all these other things during the funny little intro sequence? Well, you see, there's a very good reason for that. All of these are technically sub-abilities, just parts of all fiction reworked or something like that. Yeah, but they all share a very similar likeness. Yes, sub and like, very important things. Alright, the bit's over. Now then, we're talking first about Bookmaker. Bookmaker is honestly a very simple concept. Let's assume you, average Joe, Jeff, whatever J name, is literally just here. You don't have any special powers, you're not a gym rat and go to the gym, get swole, you're not incredibly smart, and you don't have any magic or special powers. Meanwhile, you're facing some guy who, I don't know. Well, let's just assume he's the main character of his own anime or manga, generic, I got isekai into, I don't know, pendant, and now I'm on this hot elf girl. Woo. Well, thankfully, through the power of Bookmaker, you can now rework it so that way his power is on par with yours. That's Bookmaker's whole thing, to make the enemy become exactly like you in every sense of the way. This isn't just, making it so that way they're as strong or as smart or as fast as you. It resets everything to your level. Oh, fighting skill, special abilities, everything is only on par with you. With the exception of giving them all fiction as well. Oh, it makes it so that it's not just even physically they're the same as you, it is that they are mentally and skill-wise on the same level as you. Quite literally making it a perfectly even battlefield. Is what I would say if it weren't for these next few sub-abilities. Auto Revival has to be one of the most underrated things known for all fiction. I mean, seriously, when you really think about it, it does exist in the manga and in the anime for Mizogi to use, so why not you? Plus, it's another super simple concept. Let's assume that you get into some kind of trouble and there's no way for you to, dodge or run or anything else really. We're going to go under the assumption that you still have all fiction. Now then, all fiction's auto revival sub-ability works like this. Regardless of the method, whether it be powers, swords, guns, poison, it doesn't really matter. Whatever's going to be used against you cannot really kill you. And that's because you literally make the concept of death to you fictional. Imaginary manifestation. Imaginary manifestation is kind of underused in the show, and that's why I'm making this video. Well, again, we're not talking about the anime or the manga, we're talking about the ability itself, and imaginary manifestation is really, really underused. All it's ever used for in the show is is just to make screws. Same with the manga, it's never been used to do anything besides that. And for the life of me, I looked through this and I just couldn't find a reason why it couldn't do anything else, like make other more complex things. It's not like Momo's quirk from My Hero Academia where the user has to understand what they're trying to make. They can just make it and it just works. And so, in theory, they could just make a nuclear bomb and casually bring that up. There's nothing limiting them from doing that. I'm just saying, it's an option. It's there. Metaphysical interaction has to also be another or lesser known ability. It's not really known too much because it's usually not really brought up. See, metaphysical interaction is very simple in its premise, and that's because all it does is just gives the user information to work with. See, all fiction works by changing reality, changing the non-fiction, and making it different. It either creates or destroys a concept, or reality itself. Metaphysical interaction helps this out. It's a passive ability. All this really does is just inform the user what the current environment is. It effectively becomes a massive amount of information about, fiction itself and what's not fiction. It's very simple. I mean, really, when you think about it, metaphysical interaction is not that complex. It's just literally information about everything around you. Now then, we're gonna just have to skip through these next few ones because I've covered all the ones that really matter. Or all the sub-abilities of all fiction, and you might be wondering, oh wait, didn't you show like a whole bunch of other ones along with pictures of Mizoki and all this like other stuff? What about that? Well, simply put, they're all effectively the same. Every single ability I've covered so far can be broken down to yet another ability. For example, 100 Gauntlets is just rebranded all fiction. Absolute Pantheon is just rebranded metaphysical interaction, just more specified now. April Fiction is just all fiction, but now specified to destroy something. Law Reconstruction is, once again, all fiction. Leg-Eating Forest is effectively just a really extravagant way of doing Bookmaker, and that's really it. And then there's even Conceptual Erasure, which is just another play off of April Fiction, which is a play off of the main ability of all fiction, which is to create and, more importantly, erase something from existence. It's kind of at this point where you realize that all fiction is broken because it doesn't have a limit. It's so simple, yet so dangerous for that reason. You get absolute power and you can change reality to be whatever you want. It has no limit because there never was one to begin with. You set the limit. That's the strength of this power. It's so strong that the writers had to literally make an ability that hard counters all fiction by specifying that it cannot be undone. For example, with all fiction, you could just casually destroy the world any way you see fit, basically, and no one could stop you. You could even do something more passive and make that girl who hates your guts suddenly fall in love with you for no apparent reason. Same as I definitely didn't pick Diva from Overwatch for, any apparent reason whatsoever. You could do all kinds of stuff. You could create and feed people, cure diseases, build infrastructure, heck, stop death itself even. Because I remind you, auto revival prevents death from any method, but at the same time, you have limitless power and thusly limitless potential to destroy everything. You could easily turn the air into some kind of toxic gas. You could poison the seas and the earth. You could do all kinds of bad stuff equal to all kinds of good stuff. The only limit here is what you choose to do. You could destroy the world or you could create more. Alright, and that's the power all fiction has. This is the limit, that there is none. You, the user, the person who holds this power, dictate what all fiction does. And that is why this is as powerful as it is. All fiction isn't something flashy with a very specific set of rules. And that's something I've noticed with really powerful anime abilities. They're powerful because they're nondescript. They're non-specific. It just says you make this happen regardless of what happens. Even in other animes where it talks about overpowered abilities, this logic applies. The simpler the better. And all fiction is a perfect example of this. It has no limit, and yet it has everything it can do. It changes reality to fit whatever you want. The only true limit ever being about all fiction really is whatever you want to come up with it. That makes this power terrifying, because you can destroy everything with it. But at the same time, if you choose to be a hero with this, you can quite literally stop all evil instantly by simply erasing the concept of evil. This power is strong, simply for the fact that itself has no limit to what you can do with it. I know I've said that a lot, but I need you to understand. This is a powerful ability, not because it's got big flashy lights, not because it's related to the god of creation or something like that. This ability is powerful because it just is. There's no prefabrication to it. There's no build-up. All fiction makes everything you want fictional, and at the same time makes everything you want to become non-fictional, all on your choosing. And that is why all fiction, in my opinion, at the very least, is one of the most broken powers I've seen in all of anime whatsoever.